Thank you to Allform for sponsoring today's video. Allform is a sister brand to the mattress brand Helix that makes sofas and chairs. They're American-made and easy to assemble. You can personalize your sofa to your space and style, which is why we are super excited to partner with Allform. There are over 500 unique combinations with seat numbers, corners, chairs, chases, and ottomans. No matter what space you have, if your room is an odd shape, you can find something that will fit perfectly. You can pick your color and fabric too, which is amazing. You can put your Allform sofa together in as little as 15 minutes. Setup is easy with completely tool-free assembly. Because Allform ships directly to the consumer, they're able to use really premium materials at a reasonable price for you. It's easy to buy online and shipping is fast and free, so you're not waiting around for delivery. It's so comfortable and easy to keep clean. We love our Allform sofa and think you would too. If you're looking for some new seating, check out Allform. Visit the link below or go to allform.com/redpoppy for 20% off the sofa of your choice.
I had a message on my Red Poppy Ranch Facebook page yesterday from a guy named Josh Pilch. He basically said he was coming through the area and he had a mini excavator, and he said he'd be happy to give me a day's worth of work on the ranch. He knew that This is basically where it all started. After my soon-to-be good friend Josh Pilch reached out to me and offered to give me a day's worth of work, carving the hillside out for what would one day be the house pad. Although at this time we were still focused on what is now the shop, thinking that the shop would end up being the house. But after a little bit of external pressure, we decided that we needed to focus on a smaller house. Hey.
What?
What's so special about today?
It's my birthday.
You turn 15?
I'm turning 7.
You get your driver's license next week?
No.
No?
Not even close.
Not even close? You turn 7? So that means you have to get a job now, I think. You know what that means? What else happened today?
I pulled my tooth. Well, you pulled my tooth
I
out.
pulled a tooth out, so you're probably going to get a whopping 25 cents from the old tooth fairy tonight. Tooth fairy's on a fixed income these days. What do you say, little crazy? What do you say about your sister and her birthday? What do you think about, I leveled all the dirt in. What do you think about all that? Does it look good?
I don't even care.
You don't even care? What if we had grass everywhere down there? Wouldn't you love that?
So cold.
It's not cold.
Dad, I'm wearing short sleeves.
I'm wearing one sleeve.
Yeah.
We're gonna put grass seed down everywhere this week. So when the snow melts in the spring, we got grass coming up. What do you think about that, Turk? You don't know? That's what I did all day yesterday. I didn't even pick up the hammer one time, huh? You love dirt? You know,
Glad you worked on dirt.
you know what they say you're supposed to do with dirt?
What?
You're supposed to take your shoes off and walk around barefoot in dirt. It's good for your body. It helps balance the electrons and neutrons in your body.
Oh, my head!
Quite a view.
Yeah. And this is up here. No, you don't open the mouth at
Be
all.
careful.
Whoa!
Stop. You're gonna fall down and crack your head.
I don't want.
What?
Are you
You better
40 or
watch your
90
mouth,
or-
young lady.
I know.
Farm, the cows would get out.
Duh.
Smile, girls. As far as getting the hillside moved back far enough away from the house, it's been a process. It first started with the minimal amount of dirt that needed to be moved, mainly because there was a large Doug fir tree that I thought was a little bit too big to take out. But once we realized that the smaller house was going to be our house long term, that with the addition, the hillside was going to go back further. So any excess dirt that I got from the hillside, I was able to use to bring the driveway up enough to where the incline was not so excessive. But I didn't take any more of the hillside out than I had to, especially in those early days. But the entire journey has been a process of identifying where things could be changed and changing them if it's necessary. And the hillside is one of those things that I knew at some point down the road I wanted to have a rock wall retaining it. And unfortunately, there were a couple of trees that had to go before I could start digging the hillside out for the addition. And one of those trees was about an 80-year-old Doug fir that I tried desperately to leave right where it was at, but in the end it just was too close to the house. And I worried that at some point with the excavation of the hill that the tree would get too compromised and fall onto the house. But had we been able to get a mortgage when we originally tried to, and had we borrowed the $300,000 that we were initially thinking of borrowing, the bank would have required a set of approved plans, and that alone more than likely would have changed the entire story and whether or not we would be where we are now. And so in spite of all the changes, I wouldn't change a thing. Had we taken out a mortgage, I more than likely would have had to go back to plumbing. So Cedar and I would have put the effort into getting a plumbing company going instead of putting a little bit of effort into YouTube like we have for the last few years. And ultimately, the end result is the same. We have the house that we always wanted, on the land that we always wanted, that nobody can ever take away from us. I've said this a million times on a dozen different videos, but knowing what I know now, of course I would have done things different back then. But I didn't know then what I know now, so my options were to figure it out. And the one thing that I recognized that I needed to do as I dug the hillside out was to grade for the water that's going to come off the hill. So rather than putting French drains in, I simply tried to grade the ground to where water was always as far away from the house as it possibly could be. And having that New Holland backhoe at that time again was a lifesaver, because moving this kind of dirt around, you can accomplish so much more with a backhoe. In the very early days, I hired someone to come help me do a little bit of dirt work, and that would ultimately determine where the house and the shop are located now, which is one of the things that I would change. But when I had this excavation contractor up here at my place to dig out the foundation for the shop, I noticed that when he got down to a certain depth in the dirt, that it was incredibly hard and stable dirt, more than likely left over from a volcanic eruption. So I knew the dirt below the topsoil was very stable. But these last two trees that I knew were just a little bit too close to the house, as much as I wanted them to stay, I knew they had to go. The first maple tree didn't take too much effort to get down, but that Doug fir tree I knew had been there for a long, long time, and I knew that tree was a big, heavy tree that I needed to be very, very careful with. I would go on to buck that Doug fir up into a couple of 20-foot sections that I would later mill into beams that would be used on the front porch. And even after letting those beams sit for more than 2 years, they were still not cured as well as they should have been. But I still have one big, huge chunk of that tree that I've been saving for some special project. And I'm not quite sure what that's going to be, but I'm hoping to turn that big old chunk of Doug fir into something special around here. I don't know what to say other than because I chose to build the house myself, I was given many opportunities to examine whether or not what I was doing was right at the time and whether I could live with it. And there were obviously things that along the way I wasn't happy with, and I went back and changed. And that doesn't bother me that much because the end result now I can more than live with. Naturally, I'm looking forward to getting a couple of these last big projects done so I can focus on some of the smaller detail projects. And getting this rock retaining wall built and finished is one of the bigger projects for sure. All right, I have moved all of the dirt that I'm comfortable moving around the Doug fir. What I've decided to do is use the backhoe, the bucket of the backhoe, to kind of push against it to make sure that it falls away from the house. And then I'm going to limb it up and bucket into hopefully at least 1 or 2 20-foot pieces. So let's see how this goes.
Hello, Liza, how do you do? I'm writing you a letter, I hope it reaches you. I know it's been a long time since you heard from me. I'm still kicking around here in Tennessee. I heard you got a new place, I heard you got a new job, I heard you got a haircut and it looks real nice. Are you ever lonely? Do you ever think of me? I heard you got a new man, I hope it treats you right. And before you toss this letter away, there's something that I've got to say. An aeroplane shooting across the sky can surely take your body to a new place for a while. But some things stay no matter where you go. Do you still love me, Liza, babe? Please tell me yes or no. When the world turns ugly, we turn inside. Try to find a good thing we can stand behind. All my friends tell me she's the one that got away, but you never left me like a ghost you stay. There's nothing else worth thinking of when you find the one you love. An aeroplane shooting across the sky can surely take your body to a new place for a while. But some things stay no matter where you go. Do you still love me, Liza, babe? Please tell me yes or no.
I'm trying to get the place cleaned up and the dirt work done so I can get back to the house. I started burning all the branches from the grandpa tree and boy, it sent smoke all over the mountain. I made sure that I had my burn permit for the day because that's what's required in the county. But then I went back to work moving dirt in the backhoe. I didn't even hear the helicopter flying overhead. I'm assuming checking to make sure everything's okay with the fire. This is the one downside to having earbuds in all day. A lot of smoke, not a whole lot of fire. Terrell said that there was 4 or 5 people standing and looking in this direction, quite concerned that maybe there was a forest fire breaking out. I didn't think the smoke was that bad, but apparently I was wrong. The funny thing is I didn't even know there was a helicopter overhead until I played this video back. I've been moving dirt for 5 days straight. I've got to think I've moved somewhere around 300 or 400 yards of dirt. I don't know how much longer I'm going to have the backhoe. I haven't gotten an ETA on when I'm going to get my excavator, and I know that that excavator cannot move dirt the way this backhoe can. There's been many times when I haven't been able to get the backhoe or the truck up the hill because it was so slippery. Once I've got the dirt in place, I'll then start hauling gravel. It's opened up around the house like never before, and it kind of changes the perspective. I brought Cedar and the kids up for a day of work on Saturday, and they helped me move a lot of the boughs that I cut off the tree. I was able to save 3 20-foot logs from that tree, and I'll set those aside and let them dry for quite some time before I mill them up. This backhoe has been a lifesaver. I wouldn't be anywhere near as far along as I am without the backhoe. The amount of money that I've saved between the septic system, between moving dirt, between clearing brush, whatever it happened to be, because of this backhoe, is almost more than I can wrap my head around. By far the most valuable tool on the homestead. I'm a little bit nervous about giving it up, but I know I need that excavator, and I'm looking forward to getting comfortable in that excavator. Now that I'm finished with the dirt work around the house, I've got to get serious about finishing the house up. I can work on the drywall and the interior stuff as I need to, but I really need to get the concrete poured while the weather's nice, get the front porch finished, and get the addition done in the back. Once I've got these 2 things done, the next major focus is going to be figuring out the water. Between pumping water from the creek up to a storage tank, or drilling a well, or somehow trying to figure out how to use the water from the spring, I haven't decided which way's the best. We have this spring that's maybe 30 feet up the hill from the house that just doesn't go away. Matter of fact, last year about this time, it was leaching out around the house. But I dug a trench up high close to it this year, and we don't seem to be getting anywhere near as much water down around the house, and it's all going up in that trench. Once I get the excavator, I think I'm going to dig 6 or 8 trenches right along near where that spring is and see if I can somehow capture it up there. but still I'm not sure if this is going to be sufficient for our needs. I found a 6,000 gallon storage tank nearby and I'm thinking about buying it. The price is right. I want to have enough water available that if we ever had to put a fire out or if we ever needed to use it for irrigation, that we had it. I still feel like drilling a well is going to be the end result at some point, but I'm just not sure if we have the money for it this year. Now this is the corner back behind the house where water normally leaches out. Now there's a big huge rock in here that I keep bumping with the back when I want to get it out of here. But this time last year it was soaking wet in here. Now this is a completely different type of dirt than most of the dirt around here. It's got more rock in it, it's got more gravel in it. It makes me feel like there was at some point a little stream or something running through here. But it's way drier than it normally is. You can see the one dark spot there that represents a little bit of moisture, but for the most part it's fairly dry. You can also see the consistency of the dirt under the topsoil. This is part of the reason why I'm not worried about mudslides or anything like that. The dirt is so hard. In some cases it's very difficult to scrape through with the backhoe. I'm going to take this big rock down and set it out in front of the property. It's turning out really good. Lots of room to work. The driveway's done. Again, turned out awesome. Just need to get some gravel on it. Not much left of the grandpa tree. That stump will probably burn for a month. This is my little spring that Ruger takes a bath in every day. I've somehow got to figure out how to capture this water. I think at a slow trickle it would fill up a large storage tank over a matter of a few days. This corner right here is just soaking wet. And as you can see, it's only about 35 or 40 feet higher than the house.
I would eventually get the shallow well figured out and then put a whole lot of grass seed down and start using that well to see if I couldn't get some grass growing around here. These videos that I'm using can be found in the first year, second year, and third year playlists. And many of you guys think you've seen all of these videos, but if you look at the numbers, you haven't. They're not the easiest to watch, but it's part of the story. Every once in a while I go back and watch them, and what I find is that someday, when my relationship with YouTube is long gone, I will be incredibly grateful to have these videos, as there seems to be nothing better than watching your kids grow up. But the story is a story about trial and error, and I definitely made mistakes, but they're not mistakes that couldn't be fixed. And as I've talked about many times before, I'm getting tired of fixing mistakes. So I'm trying to slow down just a little bit and put a little bit more thought into things as I do stuff. And the hillside is one of those projects that I'm going to take my time with. in order to avoid those mistakes. I've had a few friends come and look at it and talk with me about what the best options are to do with that hillside, and I will slowly get that hillside finished as I break away and get some of the other projects finished that I need to get done in the meantime. But I will say a crazy thing has happened over the years as I look back at some of these older videos. I realize that I have forgotten about how much work it has taken to get where we are now. So I don't necessarily think about how much effort it took to change the thing that I wasn't happy with. I just got it done. And looking back on it now, 6+ years later, I'm happy that I made the decision to go back and change some of these things that I knew would have bothered me long term. I still miss my dog Ruger. It's fun to see him in some of these old videos. Every time Ruger shows up in a video, I find myself turning to the local classifieds, hoping that there might be an English setter somewhere that needs to be rehomed. But at the end of the day, Ruger lived a good life, and now Ruby is doing the same, although she has quite a bit more energy. But Ruger will always hold a special place in my heart because he spent so much time with me up here in those early days. I had the backhoe for a total of about 8 days, although I wasn't able to use it every one of those days. But I was still able to do more dirt work with the hillside than I anticipated getting done. As usual, this is something that I will look at and work on as I continue to work on that retaining wall. This week I'm going to put down a whole lot of grass seed in this area, especially on the hillside, in an effort to control and maintain the erosion that I know is going to happen no matter what I do. At this exact moment, I'm about 24 hours away from a pretty significant storm that will end up shutting down all of my work up here on the hillside. We will end up getting over an inch of rain in about 4 hours. I just got a phone call that one of the parts for my tractor that I ordered from Northern England is now at my post office, and I really should keep working, but I've been waiting and anticipating this part showing up, and I'm very concerned that it's not the right part. So I'm going to run into town real quick and pick the part up. Here's the old ring gear that was welded into the backing plate. It's totally shot. Okay, they even gave me that spacer. That was a really, this little piece right here is $100 if you can find it. And I can't find it anywhere, but I can take this piece down to the machine shop and they can make that for me. Big question is the size. That's it. Hallelujah. So even this one has a little bit of damage to the backing plate, but not enough to worry about. But okay, I do have a bushing in there. You know, I'm waiting on 2 more seals. That's all that I have left is 2 more seals that are also coming from the UK.
And the second they get here, I'm gonna put the thing back together and start using it. But that's exciting. If I could find one more of those, if I could find another one of those, I'd buy another just to have a spare around. Well, that's exciting. Hallelujah. I got the hillside roughed in, and that's kind of what I was after. I wanted to see just in fact how much dirt I was going to have and what I would do with that dirt. And I'll continue to play around with this throughout the summer. But the next focus is going to be on the propane tank and then the water tanks, as well as the solar panels, because these are somewhat pressing things that are affected by weather. But I woke up this morning and there was a slight chill in the air, and it's just a friendly reminder that we're not very far away from major changes in the weather, especially when it comes to doing outside work. I still need to get a whole bunch of firewood piled up for this winter, and most of that I've already cut down over on the new land, but it still needs to be bucked up and split so it can be drying. So there's always something to do around here. While some of these little projects get temporarily postponed, they're always in the back of my head, and I'm always itching to get back to them. And the hillside is definitely one of those projects. We will see you in a few days with an update on our crazy life. And we thank you so much for hanging around and watching our videos. You want to go for a ride? You want to go for a ride, Ruben? Let's go for a ride. Let's go for a ride. For the last couple of years, I've been emailing with this incredibly nice guy named Louie from New York City. He happens to be a police officer, and he also happened to stop by with his wife and kids.
Let my commission see it. I'll say, oh, I'm leaving.
I got that on video.
Take that part out
Do you
of the video.
want to take it
I'm
out?
going to take them real quick just up the road, show them the new property, and show them where the cows go and all that stuff.
All right. Okay. I put it like I have been smelling it.
Sure. Say hi.
Hi.
Look at that. I'm going to show my parents, because I told my parents about you. They're going to be like, there's something wrong with you. To bother this man.
You saw that crazy guy?